Also, if I may say, a man who has a great eye for local television programming about local history. Here to introduce Ron Stein is Tom Carlo.
Thank you all very much, and I did prepare a script and an outline, but I realized that the first two words on my outline were wrong, so I decided not to even bring it up because it said, "Good morning." I'm really delighted to be here and a chance to introduce to the Silver Circle Ron Stein, someone who I have known since 1975. We have worked together for 35 years. Ron came to work at KPBS in 1975. He was 27, I was on the staff, I was 7 at the time. And we started working together in documentary production, and not only do we develop a great working relationship, we also have woven together a wonderful 35-year friendship relationship. So it's a delight for me to be here. Ron was someone who came to KPBS very mature for where I was. Ron's about a few years older than me. He had served our country in the Navy. He traveled the world shooting for the Navy with his Nikon. And he got into video and he came to KPBS. So he was a little older and I looked up to Ron. He was the one that was the mature, wise, older brother that I never had. And it was someone that I was always looking for great advice and calmness in our relationship. And I was one who got married at the age of 20. I'm still married to the same lovely person, Julie, 37 years later. And when I was 25 years old, I wanted to let Ron know that my wife and I were expecting our third child at 25. And Ron, in his very calm way, said, "Tom, do you have any idea what it's doing? What's happening with this? Are you crazy?" And I meant that Ron had that very calm way of helping me in the way that I was to conduct my life. When I was 25 and Ron was 29, we embarked on a 10-day documentary film shoot across the country. We covered 9 states in 10 days. It was a 3-person crew. I was the director cameraman, Ron was the sound man, and we were traveling with a producer who also was not that experienced in travel. We showed up at the airport and the producer assumed that you just showed up at American Airlines and they would fly you to any city. And so he had not bought any tickets for any of our trips, but had the itinerary all laid out. So he proceeded to have to book the flights right then and there, and with about 5 minutes left, he got all the tickets booked for this hellacious trip across the country. And when the ticket taker said, "Well, we have 3 seats left on the flight, but 2 are in first class and only 1 is in coach," Ron, in his infinite wisdom, said to the producer, "Well, Tom and I are going to play backgammon the whole time. We have to sit together." So we sat in first class. I'm 24 years old. I've never been out of the state of California. I don't even know what it's like to fly first class. But I sit there in that seat next to Ron, and Ron says, "Before we do anything, I'll be right back." He runs back to the steerage to talk to the producer, and he comes back and he says, "We're not shooting when we get to St. Louis. We can have a drink." So the flight attendant comes up and said, "Sir, would you like to have a drink? We're in first class." 24 years old, I reach in my pocket, grab my wallet, and Ron goes, "You idiot! Drinks are free in first class." So we proceeded to drink and have lots of drinks. And at one point, the flight attendant came up to us and said, "Sir, do you mind if I leave the bottle?" And to this day, 35 years later, that has been our mantra when Ron and I see each other. "Sir, can I leave the bottle?" Anyway, Ron left KPBS in the early 80s, still in video, but moving into the video gaming industry. He worked in a burgeoning industry, the director of marketing. It was a wild time But through mergers and consolidations, things changed dramatically. And I, at that time, was moving into management of KPBS, and I always knew that Ron needed to come back to KPBS. And at that time, we were doing on-air fundraising and membership in a very unstrategic way. We had great talent like Ken Kramer, but we just put him in front of the camera and we said, go ahead and talk about membership. But we realized we needed to be more strategic. We needed to have scripts, outlines, directions, points what we were trying to make, key things that would follow the membership strategy. And so we were able to bring Ron back. And I was delighted because we needed to raise the bar. And Ron's career started back on a second stint with KPBS to raise the bar for on-air fundraising. And he did a terrific job, and he taught many people at KPBS how to do on-air fundraising in a more strategic way. Then we decided in the 90s we were not doing the same strategic thinking with our space between programs, the interstitials as we call it in our industry. So we moved Ron into on-air promotion and had him start developing a strategy of on-air promotion in our breaks to help have a beginning, middle, and end. And he did a terrific job. So here it is now, the 80s and the 90s, we wanted to raise the bar of an area in our shop, and we called Ron to do that. And now we've done it again with the wonderful opportunity that we had to bring Ken Kramer to KPBS and About San Diego. I was so delighted when we were able to do that, and Ken and I had many discussions about doing that. But when we finally were able to bring Ken Kramer's About San Diego to KPBS, we needed a producer for that show. And who did we call on to take us to another level with local programming? It was Ron Stein. So Ron has had a career at KPBS to elevate us to another level, and he's done it tremendously, and he's done it in a professional way, and I'm thrilled and honored to have this opportunity to introduce to you the newest member of the Silver Circle club here for NATIS, and that is my colleague and my dear friend, Ron Stein.